The last time
who's the heel?
It doesn't matter.
What? It doesn't matter? It doesn't matter who the heel and the baby face is? I mean, I'm going to let him cook, but he's already burned down the kitchen with this take. Holy sh...
Life is a touch of perfection, but hers just like anything else. Isolation, isolation.
Decided to react to this clip from the Wrestling Observer Live show, in which Dave Meltzer is the last man standing and the last man staying on the sinking ship that is All Elite Wrestling. Let me know what you guys think about this format, and if you'd like to see any more short-form stuff like this in the future.
I mean, first off, Toni Storm's back to being a babyface this week after being a heel last week.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing about AEW, ever shifting character motivations.
On that. Toni Storm is the champion against Harley Cameron, and my God, it felt like they went forever.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Beat her already.
Not long at all.
How long was it?
Let me see. Let me get my...
If it's more than 2 minutes, it was too long.
What?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're doing a squash match, this is like 2-3 minutes tops to get these characters over. It doesn't take that long, but a great match seems to be kind of the recurring thing. This is the problem. It seems like Meltzer grades this stuff in a vacuum without any of the storytelling and stuff like that necessary to convey the points of
I think they're trying to push Harley Cameron. They gave
She's had one match prior to this. Tony's the champion. They're trying to build Toni to a match on the pay-per-view in a week with somebody else. Have Harley beat somebody else.
Mariah met, let's see, Toni Storm, they went 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that's a quick action for AEW television.
For AEW television?
And it was the only women's match on the show. If they had the only women's match on the show, and they...
What the fuck does that have to do with it?
Went 2 minutes, I promise you, there's going to be so much criticism online the next day.
Well, you know what I have to say about online criticism? I would rather book for success than worry about online criticism. I don't care.
Oh, Alvarez is shooting now. The checks must not have cleared. Holy shit. Online criticism. The online criticism probably would have been too much. So, who cares about that? Who cares about what Squared Circle, what Reddit has to say about your storylines? This is gonna be fun.
People are angry that it was only 2 minutes. I would not have Toni Storm a week before a title defense on pay-per-view going 7 minutes back and forth with Harley Cameron, who's had one match.
Who looked good in the one match, and this was a good match.
Your takeaway is that it was a good match. A good match, Dave. A good match. The matches, I don't think Dave Meltzer understands that matches exist outside of a vacuum. They're part of a whole. I understand that Dave his head is perpetually in multiple universes all at once. But the fact of the matter is, wrestling in the ring is one medium to tell a story. It's part of a cohesive whole of things like promos, video packages, backstage segments. All of these things can be used as effective metrics of storytelling. This is not that. Let's get back.
I thought, Harley Cameron, for the number of matches she's had, is really good. They had a very good match.
Okay.
Toni Storm, instead of doing the gimmick, is showing that, in fact, she is wrestling seriously, which she did in this match. And I thought it was very effective. The last time...
Who's the heel?
It doesn't matter.
What? It doesn't matter? It doesn't matter who the heel and the baby face is? I'm going to let him cook, but he's already burned down the kitchen with this take. Holy shit. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. It doesn't matter. if there's a babyface or a heel. I gotta hear this. I got to hear this.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Dave, I have seen so many segments with Toni Storm where there is no heat for the interview because nobody cares about the baby face.
Guess what?
Yeah, that's
the
a good
baby
point.
face. Did you watch the segment they did last week?
Did you? Wait. Were you in the
Yeah, Dave, did you watch before he sent us the check?
building when Toni Storm came out and she got cheered like crazy? This match did not have no heat. This match had plenty of heat.
Yeah.
Harley Cameron was the heel. Toni Storm was a big-time babyface.
Yes, Dave.
There was nothing wrong with that.
Last week, she was a heel.
Can you just take a second and just look at the absolute state of Meltzer's eyes right there? He's just like, he's like, how dare you question me? I mean, seriously. Because honestly, I think this is kind of an unprecedented moment where it kind of seems like this is the first time that I've seen Alvarez actually push back. So this is an interesting character arc I kind of want to follow. I want to see if, like, we're already getting Kenny Omega turning face, right? We've already seen Kenny Omega like start to kind of shit on this promotion. Jim Cornette, I mean, already hell has frozen over. Jim Cornette is praising Kenny Omega in his opinions and his takes on wrestling. So we're clearly in some form of the apocalypse at the moment. So I want to see if this wrestling apocalypse, or more appropriately, this AEW apocalypse continues with Bryan Alvarez being the next rat to flee the ship.
Toni was a heel last week.
So whoever
and Serena was out there doing a sad story about how she almost died.
And guess what?
Nobody cared. They booed her.
So they switched the thing around to follow the crowd. What's wrong with that?
Because they didn't switch it. And she
Yes,
will be
they
a
did.
heel. She will be a heel the next time you see her.
It doesn't matter as long as the crowd reacted like crazy. This is on WWE does this constantly.
Nope.
Oh, here comes the WWE. Oh, WWE does this. So, I don't think so. I don't think that WWE presents all of their stuff according to the whims of one fucking geriatric journalist. I don't think they do that. And I don't think in this micro example, I don't think WWE has ever shifting characters that change with the wind depending on how much Coca-Cola Tony Khan drank that day on his r/squared circle adventure before he decided to book Dynamite and Collision. Okay, so and Rampage if it still exists. Jeez, already this is already interesting.
No, they don't. They have baby
Yes, they
faces
do.
and heels. They have baby faces and heels.
And
and so does
situational.
AEW,
And it's
except with Toni.
And
Just let Alvarez finish. Honestly, I'm starting to think maybe Bryan's check didn't clear. So he's going into business for himself right here. This is a shoot. I mean, he's working stiff in the center of the ring there, or the center of the podcast stream. And Dave is panicking because that's not the finish. All right, so let's see what Dave's got to say.
it's situational. It depends on who's wrestling who.
Situational?
That's not. I mean, they have technically.
What's the last show where Drew is a babyface?
Drew
He's a
McIntyre's
heel.
not. That's Drew McIntyre. Okay. What about Bronson Reed and Chad Gable when they wrestled each other? Who was the babyface and who was the heel?
Bronson Reed and Chad Gable. Yeah. What match?
They should have matched last week.
Chad was the heel. And he is a heel. Dave,
So Bronson Reed's the babyface. Is Bronson Reed the babyface?
No, he's not!
The babyface next week? Is he usually the babyface?
No, it was a heel versus heel match, and you can argue whether you booked that correctly or not. Like, you could argue a heel versus heel, it doesn't draw or whatever, but you cannot say that they turned Bronson Reed babyface for 1 week to face Chad Gable. That is fucking absurd. What is that? What is that logic? What on earth is that logic, Dave? Please.
No, that's what happens. You have situational things, and that's what you do. Everyone has it because you sometimes.
This is my favorite part of Dave recently is he talks with such like false unearned authority. He'll just go like, well, everybody does it. Oh, well, I mean, God, it's not a big deal. I mean, it was like this happened, right? I mean, it was like that. There was this history thing in the past where this happened. And then you go on and you look up the example that he's talking about, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the argument that he is outlining. Or in another case, it just straight up didn't happen.
Let's make matches where there's a different thing. It's not a big deal. And it certainly wasn't here because the match was effective. The match was good. And again, Toni Storm, who has done a lot of the gimmick so heavy for so long that has not shown off her wrestling skill. And she's going to do a match with Serena Deeb where
her wrestling skill, Dave. Does anything about this character suggest that this is a work rate queen? This Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm character is literally a gimmick where she's pretending to be a 1920s film starlet. Where is there room for work rate classics in that equation, Dave? This is what I'm talking about. He grades wrestling exclusively in a vacuum. He'll say it himself. He'll say that it's conditional. It's all just conditional. Like people's babyface or heel situation. That's all completely situational, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But then when you mention that same line of thinking to the idea of a character or of gimmicks, he's going to complain. He's going to sit here and he's going to go, oh, well, it's, she hasn't had a chance to really show off her skill. Well, but if the whole point of the character is that it's a more comedic leaning thing where she's a film starlet, then where is there room to do work rate fucking classics in the Tokyo Dome? Somebody please tell me.
Whatever it is, they are going to go out and do a wrestling match. So therefore, if Toni Storm went and did her Toni Storm gimmick and Serena Deeb on the pay-per-view, it would suck. So they're basically showing she is going to wrestle Toni Storm, and they're going to have a good match. So
we can discuss.
If I have to hear have a good match one more frickin' time, I'm going to lose it.
This is after the Double or Nothing match.
That is what
next Wednesday.
That is what they are. That is what the story is. The story is that she went in there and the crowd cheered her. The crowd knew who the babyface was. The crowd knew who the heel was.
They cheer Toni all the time.
But they
cheer her every week, even when she's playing the heel role against another babyface. She should always be a babyface.
Well,
there's no need for her to be a heel. She's never going to get booed.
Okay,
so can we stop killing all the other babyfaces by having her be a heel that everyone loves?
Okay.
Yes, it's so true.
Okay. No.
Oh my God.
That's
so perfect. That is such a perfect explanation. And listen, I'm not normally a fan of Bryan Alvarez, unless, he's talking about gold bolts and TNA, of course, 2010 TNA. But that is such a perfect breakdown. Toni Storm's characteristics as a wrestler need to therefore match that crowd reaction. So turn her babyface. But Dave doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that characters have to have all-encompassing dimensions. That it's not just in the ring, A, B, C equals babyface or equals heel, and it changes on a whim because the fucking guy put you in a rest hold, which makes him a heel. It's like this logic astounds me consistently from Dave. I've seen him do this countless times.
What's the other thing about Toni Storm? What's the other thing about Toni Storm? She is the world champion.
Yes.
A real world champion wrestles baby faces and heels, and in that role...
That is so subjective.
Depending upon the situation, you are situational. That's everyone from Luthez to Jack Briscoe to Dory
Funk Jr. My God!
Ric Flair to
what?
Whatever.
That's not what's happening here. What's happening is she is a...
Oh, Dave, you sassy little man. Come on now. I get it. You were paid handsomely in information and money by Tony Khan, but Brian's check didn't clear, brother. So we're shooting now. All right, you're about to find out what a babyface and a heel really is. Go get him, Brian. Let's finish him off.
A heel
She's not a heel.
She is portrayed as a heel.
She wasn't portrayed as a heel in this match.
Opponents. They have her opponents portrayed.
She was not.
Dave. This.
Shut up! Just let him talk.
She was not portrayed as a heel.
Can you ever? Oh my God, Dave. Everybody allows Dave to sit there and in the Tokyo Dome, and it's like whatever. Like everyone allows him to like spiral like that. But the second somebody has like an opposing opinion to him, it's like just let Bryan finish the point. Okay, let him finish the story, as it were. Okay.
This is an exception.
Okay. Harley Cameron is a heel. Harley Cameron is a heel.
This is an exception.
She was a babyface.
Yes. If you watch the show, this is an exception.
And guess what? And it is an angle that makes sense because Harley Cameron wrestled Mariah May, her protege, and
who is portrayed as a babyface.
Yes.
Who's a babyface in that match?
Not in that match, Dave. The whole story is. Oh my God. The whole story is showing that character is a babyface. Why doesn't this track to him? Why doesn't he understand that this is not? He doesn't. I'm just. My own mind is getting melted at the moment by this. So
therefore, she's trying to get revenge for the fact that they beat up Mariah May, and so in that role, she is in fact the babyface. So she was a babyface. She got cheered. She had a good match, and they had a good wrestling match where she showed that she was wrestling. There was nothing. I can't find a thing wrong with this at all. Not a thing.
We'll discuss this again next Wednesday for the next segment they do with Toni Storm and Serena Deeb.
Okay. Yeah, we will. And I guarantee you, when they do discuss it, when they do talk about it, Bryan Alvarez is going to be completely and utterly right. So,
because I will.
But if they go in there,
yes.
If they go in the match,
I love Alvarez. Yes. Because you got to think, like, at a certain point with AEW's ratings just absolutely in the toilet, somehow CM Punk won the whole public perception battle, like, with the company. I think everyone's just, like, in the wrestling media who has had some level of bias or some level of allegiance, soft allegiance, or tolerance, for AEW, kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, well, it's a young company. Like, with all of those people and the excuses they made for all of these years, it's starting to become apparent that this is not going anywhere. I'm not gonna necessarily say AEW is, like, going to die, because genuinely I do believe it will exist as long as the cons are pumping money into it. Because, I mean, I'm a Chicago White Sox fan, and if I know anything about shitty franchises that don't spend any money, there's an argument to be made that AEW is some kind of tax washing scheme. So I don't know, but that's, hypothetical in Minecraft. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But all I'm going to say is that AEW will exist as long as the cons decide to pump money into it. And so I think the fact of the matter is, though, that a lot of these media figures that are rather biased and blind and would overlook a lot of the problems in AEW cannot any longer. People raising those criticisms, some of which, including Bryan Alvarez, work for Dave Meltzer. And this is probably the first time he's heard an honest take from someone in his orbit that has pointed out these issues about AEW. And so I don't think he's really taking it that well, as you can see. But I'd like to see this saga continue.
It doesn't. So if they cheer Toni Storm, cool. If they boo Toni Storm, cool. They're probably going to cheer her. But that's.
Yes, they are going to cheer her.
Well, fine. That's fine. It's fine. What's wrong with that?
Because her opponent is being pushed as a babyface. Well, and no one cares about her opponent. Exact same thing happened with Deonna. Deonna was supposed to be the babyface. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they go out there and go, if the fans don't care, then guess what? It would have been even worse if she was the heel. And
what?
At least in this case.
That's what is happening. That's what.
if the fans don't care, it would have been worse if she was a heel. How the fuck does that make any sense? The investment, the care, left the building. It doesn't matter in this instance who's a bit. I think I get his point. He's right. It doesn't matter who's a babyface and a heel because it's all timeless. Because nobody cares. I finally get it. I get you, Dave. I get you now. You're right. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter who's a babyface or who's a heel because nobody's showing up to the shows or watching them. But also, at the same time, alongside all of that, she's a babyface. Man, what happened to Dave? Bro's brain is just absolutely melted.
I'm saying it needs to go the other way. Serena Deeb should be the heel. Toni should be the babyface. Deanna should have been the heel. Toni should have been the babyface. Toni should be the babyface going forward.
Okay,
that's what should happen.
Okay, then Toni should be the babyface if the fans cheer.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens next week when she's the heel and Serena's the babyface, which is what they did last week.
Yes.
But guess what?
That's what they do regularly.
Serena was not necessarily a babyface when she was out on the ramp at all.
She wasn't today, but she was last week when she's talking about how she almost died. When she was begging the fans to cheer and they won.
Brian.
Yes.
Brian!
Maybe they learned from last week.
They fucking learned, all right? Despite no evidence to show otherwise, they've learned. They've learned. I love that. What a great point from Alvarez, too. Like, you're going to present this character, this Serena Deeb wrestler, you're going to present her as this courageous character, this courageous person that like overcame this nearly fatal thing, but like we're just gonna put her against Toni, who's a heel and a face, and also at the same time, it's just this vortex of AEW creative is starting to melt my brain.
Is there a possibility they learned from last week and that's why they did this? Aside from the fact that it all fits into the storyline.
Dave, you want to know why I'll say no, there's not a possibility?
Okay.
Because 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Damn, Dave really is like a sassy little girl. Jeez. Chill out, man. What the hell?
The babyface role. And I was like, okay, finally they figured it out. Toni's the babyface. The very next week, they switched it again and had Serena Deeb play babyface and talk about how she almost died, begging fans to cheer, and nobody did.
Well, guess what? So they learned.
Okay, if they learned, great.
So they learned.
We will figure it out next Wednesday when they do another segment.
Yeah.
If she's still a babyface.
Well,
where were we?
Well, it doesn't.
Where were we? Yeah, I know. I cannot even imagine trying to outline a show with Dave Meltzer. Like, you have like a set of bullet points. You got like a stack of a list of things you want to say, and every time you raise a point that is mildly critical of AEW, you're gonna get absolutely drowned in well, let's see. The thing is and then it's gonna bust out all the arguments and all the takes about it doesn't work in today's wrestling. It's like this shit is not working in today's wrestling landscape. So,
as long as the
whatever
crowd. Look, as long as the crowd's going to react, I don't care who the babyface or the heel is. You know what?
Yeah, Dave, I know you don't give a shit about storytelling or characters, but clearly most of the wrestling audience does.
In this day and age,
I didn't even know he was going to say that.
I mean, how many times?
This day and age? Oh, he did it.
John Cena for 10 years.
Yeah,
oh, my gosh.
Dave? We say he should have gone babyface.
John Cena should have stayed babyface. Yeah.
And when Roman Reigns was getting booed like crazy, we say he should have gone heel.
Okay,
should have gone with it.
Okay, each time, I never said John Cena should turn heel. I was always against John Cena turning heel because guess what? I think about business, and the business.
Oh, that's
was
rich.
John Cena was
that's
selling
rich.
the most tickets, and
very
John
rich,
Cena
Dave.
was selling the most merchandise.
Man.
And if he turned heel, the merchandise sales would go down, and that's why Vince McMahon never turned him. And when he went to the house shows, he always got cheered, and it was just the TV crowd. And John Cena was the most successful character they had for all those years.
While that's true, that John Cena staying babyface was 100% what they needed to do, for Dave Meltzer to sit here and say that he looks at things through a business perspective is just, that is laughable. Like, seriously, the amount of times this dude has qualified AEW's ratings collapses and that kind of thing with some bizarre back-end bullshit where he's been like, oh, well, the demos are the only thing that matters. 18 to 49. Oh, that's the only thing that matters. So it's, I mean, they're fine, even though total viewership has declined, whatever. Yeah, 18 to 49. But now we're at the point where 18 to 49 demos in AEW have kind of collapsed. And what's the next excuse after that one is probably going to be something along the lines of, well, television has changed, so it doesn't really, ratings don't that matter that much. But then you can also see AEW's YouTube analytics, and their viral analytics are quite down online. Eric Bischoff and the guy he got on his podcast, I forget his name, but he measured how AEW's YouTube analytics are also down. So what's the excuse going to be next time is my question. And for Dave to sit here and say that he talks and thinks exclusively through a business lens is just fucking laughable.
As he was being booed as a babyface. So it doesn't matter that he was booed as a babyface at all, because he was the number one drawing card that they had that entire period. Except for a brief period, I think there may have been a brief period where Jeff Hardy may have surpassed.
There may have been a brief period.
Him. But,
Who asked?
Well, it was brief because, didn't
because,
whatever,
Yeah, because, whatever.
Sustain, and Jeff was Jeff,
Jeff was Jeff, No, I don't know what that means. Why do you say that? Why do you speak like this? Why do you say, because, Jeff was Jeff and, whatever. No, I don't know. I have no idea what you mean by that. What did Dave Meltzer mean by this?
It doesn't, like, the whole point is, it doesn't matter who they cheer or boo. It's everything is situational.
No,
sometimes
it's
fans
not.
are going to boo baby faces. And
it's
if
not
they do,
situational.
It kind of sucks when they boo a baby.
So just give up? just don't. They're gonna boo. They're gonna cheer. Okay, well then, where were you? Where was that energy when Roman Reigns was being booked for 7 years as a top babyface who everybody fucking hated, and the arenas were emptying in WWE? Where is this energy back then? Oh well, whatever. Roman's just Roman. No, you got to change the character, and you got to change the direction of your storytelling if it's not working. Like, does he understand that you need to change this stuff? Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You pivot, you change. He will hit that line so many times when he's talking about WWE, but he'll never ever mention it with AEW. Like, he'll never mention that there is a desire that people have to see this company course correct and to change. And I know why. It's because we've seen now this is his vision of wrestling, and it's being tested, and it's not working. It's failing. And he can't accept that. He just can't. It goes against his whole fiber of his fucking being, because this bro stood up here for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 fucking years, however long he's done this job, in front of that microphone or in front of his strewn papers in his San Jose office. And he sat here and he's preached that in-ring work rate flipperinos is the kind of thing that wrestling fans want forever. And that's the final stage of wrestling's evolution. Well, we hit that point and it's not working. So you got to change it, but he can't accept that because it means his whole reputation as a wrestling journalist is gone. It's in tatters. As if it hasn't been already, though. Because if it hasn't been, when he's reporting shit from 10 years ago as if it just happened, Triple H and The Rock had a standoff. Yeah, they just had a standoff. They're probably building to a Mania match. You look it up what he's reporting in the Observer, and that's from 2014. Like, what is Dave's malfunction here? All right,
babyface. So
I think he's dimensional. I think he's literally just a dimensional being, and he sees things all at once, like through some weird macro-dimensional lens that morphs and changes everything around him. And everything's ever changing, you know? It's like a Dr. Manhattan situation. Time happens simultaneously, and he can just, you know, pull from this slot machine of past, present, and future. If he just hits one thing, boom, there's one 5-star. And he just hits another one, boom, there's another 5 stars. And if he catches all 3, 5 stars right in front of him, hopefully the people will come back to AEW shows.
That's probably better to turn them. But sometimes, like again, John Cena shows. In this case, I've seen so many heels get cheered, and it was fine. You know, I mean, it's tough for a babyface, but if business is good, then it's, you know, whatever. Everyone cheered the NWO. It was great for a while. At some point, of course, it turned bad, but that took years. When it did, then you had other problems, and they tried to turn a babyface to begin with.
Thank you for watching,
dude. Clearly, Dave has gone multi-dimensional, but so has KVTV, because I have now decided, in the aftermath of my Wrestling Lolcows video getting taken down, it's important to have an archive. It's important to have a mirror. So it's time to get into the alt tech business, brother. So in the description, as well as the About tab here on YouTube, I've linked my Rumble and Odyssey accounts. Sorry I've been inconsistent in the last month in my uploads. Been a busy guy with finishing out my degree and some other stuff. Life happens. But now, I'm gonna make some time. In the meantime, I've been trying to keep you guys up to date and engaged in the community tab recently, holding polls and, you know, small stuff like that. I do just want to say before I go, I really appreciate all of the messages and engagement that you guys have here on the channel. Seriously, special thanks to comments like this, or people like Ghost of Nicolo, who just share my stuff unprompted for no reason. Like, that means a lot. I'm glad you guys click with my stuff. Not to get corny or anything, but if any of my content can move you like this, job well done. We're gonna keep growing, keep building, and keep on keeping it Kino. Because your life is cinema.